People aren't mining with JavaScript now?
You could still mine Bitcoin with JavaScript, but it would take about 10,000 years.
Oh, okay. I think I'm going to need my Bitcoin a little faster than that. Episode 4. What is mining?
Interested in Bitcoin?
Bitcoin is a very vague concept to a lot of people.
Need to know more about cryptocurrency?
We're going to talk about the basics. You know, this is something that people just have no idea about what crypto is.
How about buying, selling, and mining?
Tony, I think that's one of the things that's going to make us a little different from some other shows.
We're getting our hands dirty.
Then listen to Gary Leland and Tony Sakala, better known as the Crypto Cousins, on the Crypto Cousins podcast.
Hello, welcome to the show. Gary Leland here.
And Tony Sakala here.
Hey, Tony, we had a wild week this weekend in Bitcoin. It was a wild ride.
It was a crazy wild ride. And if you weren't ready for it, man, it was scary.
This week's price.
Just so everybody knows where we're at, this week's pricing, Bitcoin, as of today, $6,596, down $420 since last week, which is 6.6% drop. Tony, first time we've had it down since we've been doing the show.
Yes, it was pretty wild. Pretty much an artificially motivated price drop.
And I was panicking. I don't mind saying, I was panicking. This was my first time experiencing a price drop, Tony, and to boot, on top of my already having to handle my first price drop, I have my wife who couldn't handle it at all. Coming from me on the other side. So we've already decided now, Tony, whenever we have this happen, she just has to stay calm and is not allowed to look at the price every minute.
Yes. You know, it's scary if you're not used to it, but you know, Bitcoin has been up and down in its entire existence.
Yeah, I was watching a show on a financial channel last night about Bitcoin. They were talking about the drop, and they said it's dropped six major drops this year, in the last year, and that every time it's been followed by like a 40% increase. Does that make sense? Does that sound right to you?
That's about what I read. Yes, the numbers are similar. You know, like the 3 big drops and comes up 60% after those huge drops. So yeah, exactly. It's a market that can be manipulated in a very easy way. So if you've got a lot of Bitcoin and you've got a lot of power, you can manipulate the price. And then when everybody panics and it falls, then you buy it back.
Yeah. Hey, also, did you notice that last week, if you didn't hear last week's show, we had Trace Mayer on talking about Segway 2X, which now is real old news. Seems like so much has happened since last week's show. But Segway 2X, we get him on our show. He's talking about how bad it is. Then next day, they announced they're killing Segway 2X. Tony, did we have anything to do with that? No, I'm joking.
I think we did it. You know, we pushed it over the edge. We got the Babe Ruth of Bitcoin. We did a big podcast. I know we have a lot of listeners. And, you know, and Trace just said, this is just doo-doo. It's poo-poo. He said, forget about it. This is horrible. So I think we can take, let's take responsibility. We killed it. We killed Segway 2X. We did
right
it.
Here, right?
We did it.
Hey, also, I want to let everybody know, Tony and I are not financial advisors. We're just two dudes that like crypto and Bitcoin, and we're just talking about it. And so do not make your buying decisions off of what we say. Do your due diligence and all that stuff. But don't just listen to us to enjoy this and get our thoughts. Hey, Tony, we had last week I went over how we were doing ranking in iTunes because that's kind of my deal. I keep up with that. And we have gone.
How are we doing, Gary?
We're going on another tear. Since 2 weeks ago, we were number 24. Under the term Bitcoin, we're number 9. We made it up to number 7, but now we've dropped to number 9. Under Ethereum, we went from 12 2 weeks ago to number 7, and we're still number 1 in the cryptocurrency. So we need to get that term Bitcoin. We've gone from number 24 to number 9, but we need to get that in the top 8 so that we show up on phone searches every time. So if you have an iPhone, I'm telling you, we need you to go to cryptocousins.com/iTunes, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating and a review so we can get this show up into the top 8 and stay there this time. Hey, and another thing, Tony, do you know that we've had listeners now in 84 different countries?
No kidding. I don't speak 84 different languages.
Yeah. I speak one. I'm an American. You know, Tony, they say, what do you call people that speak 2 languages? You know that.
No, what?
Bilingual.
Yeah.
You know what they call people who speak 1 language?
No.
Americans. Because the rest of the world speaks more than 1 language.
Exactly. Oh, my goodness.
But we're in 84 countries now, so that's kind of cool. Hey, another thing I wanted to go over, we just got a little bit of housework here to do, guys, before we get into the meat of the discussion here. And we like to share this with you because we're trying to build a community here, not just listen to us and we tell you what we do. We're trying to build a community. But, Tony, we had someone email me last week wanting to know about sponsoring the show. And I want to discuss this with you and also get thoughts from the audience on this. I don't know if we should be taking sponsors, Tony, because I'm scared that if we took a sponsor, let's say our sponsor was Bitcoin Cash. And this weekend, you know, we'd had all this stuff with Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash that we're going to talk, happening. And then we're kind of like going, well, we're thinking in the back of our mind, we don't want to say anything bad because we don't want to lose our gravy train.
I don't know, Gary. I like money.
Well, I like money too. I like money a lot, and I probably like it as much as you do, for sure. But I'm thinking maybe we could, instead of starting off with the approach of having sponsors on the show every week, that may put us in a situation where we don't want to say anything bad about them, maybe we might go to a different search and use the community. And not use the community, but have the community help us. And we could have, work our donation page or make a Patreon account. And if they like the material we're bringing them, maybe the community will sponsor us.
Well, it's really possible. I saw some folks doing a show once, a live show, and boy, they got like a whole Bitcoin or maybe a Bitcoin and a half in donations. Well, so it's certainly possible.
Well, the thing is, Tony, if we can get people to work with us and help us, we can do more things than just sitting here. We could go to maybe 2 shows a week or 3 shows a week, or maybe we could go to events and get interviews with top people in the world about crypto and get their thoughts. I mean, it just opens up a lot of stuff we can do that we can't afford to do now for free.
We can go to all the great Bitcoin conferences in Europe.
Yeah, there's no way we can go. Well, there are some good conferences and good information to find out and share.
Yeah,
you're joking, but
exactly.
True.
I'm half joking, exactly, because right now we're looking for conferences in the region.
Right, I went to Austin.
Yeah. You were in Austin.
Then we have one in Dallas, and that's going to be about it. That's the only things we're going to go to, or things we can go to on the weekend.
Well, this is exciting. Well, maybe we should just toss around the idea and see what feedback we get from our listeners.
Well, okay, I'll tell you what then. Everybody let's just use our Facebook group, which, hey, we broke 100 people in the Facebook group.
Nice.
That's not gigantic, but it is a start. And maybe if people want to get involved, they could go to cryptocousins.com/Facebook group. That's a short link. Join there, and everybody give us your thoughts. Do you think we should just work this? Because it means every show we're going to be asking for donations, so people can forward fast it, but they're going to have to get used to that if they want us to go that route instead of sponsors. So I'm just saying that to people up front. Or do they want us to have sponsors and have a commercial during that minute, basically, when we talk about the sponsor? So one or the other.
Well, we'll see what our listeners say.
Hey, while we're talking about our Facebook group, we've been reaching out for moderators that can help us, moderate the group and grow the group. And I want to welcome cousin Mayank Kumar, our first international moderator. He's from India. So, cousin Mayank, welcome to Crypto Cousins. Help us grow that part of the country in the Facebook group. And we're looking for other moderators for other parts of the world. I think we got the U.S. kind of going now, but it's other parts of the world we're looking for now. So go to the group and get in there and let us know if you're interested. PM us if you're interested in moderating.
This is exciting. Yeah, we've got a couple of folks now Cousin Ken as well, been doing a great job.
Yeah, and then also our short link for donations, which we usually just spend 1 second on, is cryptocousins.com/donate. If anyone does want to go there and show us some love, and we can see how that's going. But now, Tony, it's time for...
It's time for Crypto Cousins News.
Okay, Tony, what is the news this week?
Well, there's been a lot of exciting things about Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. And, one of the questions that comes to mind is, where do the miners go? The miners only have one machine or one farm or, one, they have a choice to make. When you're mining on Bitcoin, you're not mining on Bitcoin Cash. So, what is the choice here? And we know that some of the big miners are really big supporters of Bitcoin Cash. There's an article this week in Quartz magazine, which is a really great online magazine, always quality articles. It says one metric is far more important to Bitcoin users than its price. And I chose this news article because it kind of segues into our conversation today about mining.
What is this metric?
Well, the metric is the hash rate. It's how much an entire network is hashing or solving the problems on the Bitcoin network to confirm transactions.
Well, what is hash rate? Tell me that real quick, because I get confused. Someone asked me the other day, I told them I had a machine mining. They said, what's your hash rate? And I said, I don't know. I said, I just know it's making me about $7 a day, maybe. I have no idea what my hash rate is. So I felt like, well, I don't know too much. So what is, can you kind of give us a scoop on that?
Yes, the hash rate is the number of transactions, the number of guesses that a computer, whether it's a ASIC computer or a GPU computer or even a CPU computer, whatever the number of guesses it makes in a second.
Now, what is my computer's hash rate approximately?
The hash rate of yours is 1,000 solutions per second.
1,000 a second?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that sounds like a lot. Is that a lot?
It's a lot for one computer doing Equihash, which is the algorithm that Zcash uses.
Okay, so now what is you hear about these Chinese miners that have just farms and stuff. How much do they hash in a second?
Well, the numbers go way, way, way higher. We started talking about terahashes and then exahashes. Oh. And so, I mean, we're into the entire Bitcoin network is roughly 10, 20 exahashes per second. And that's the combination of all the different miners all over the world. And this weekend, the article points out that when Bitcoin Cash started to do its pump, some of the miners turned over to start mining Bitcoin Cash, and the hash rate for Bitcoin dropped dramatically.
That's why it took so long for people. I saw people posting that it's taking forever for their transactions to go through. Is that why?
That was one of the reasons. The other reason was that there was a large dump of spam into the Bitcoin network.
What does that mean, spam?
Spam. Basically making useless transactions and paying a very little fee. And hoping to clog up the pipes, basically.
So what were they selling, like one Satoshi? Is that spam? Like they said, I want to place 1,000 orders for one Satoshi.
It's exactly something like that. The value doesn't really matter because they could be paying themselves, but they were just specifying a small mining fee and just clogging up the entire skunkworks, so to speak.
Okay. So I learned a lot. I have 1,000. My hash rate is 1,000. Is that what I would say?
Yeah, you'd say it's 1,000 solutions per second. The Equihash is a very low count. When you're mining Ethereum, then you would say you have, I think it's roughly on that machine, 80 mega hashes per second of Ethereum.
Okay, so this article is saying that that's the most important thing is the hash rate.
And it seems like the Bitcoin Cash folks are, they're more aware and they're a little more nimble on making changes because it's a little more centralized, maybe a lot more centralized coin. And so they did a hard fork yesterday on their own site on their own system to change the hash rate more dynamically. Bitcoin's hash rate only changes every 2 weeks. So that is a lot of time for something to go, sideways like this. And basically the hash rate changes based on the difficulty. The network figures, hey, it says, here's this mathematical problem to solve, and we want you to do some work. We want computers to do a lot of work so that we can ensure that the coins are not spent twice, that there's no double spend. And that was really the breakthrough that Satoshi Nakamoto had, that an entire network can work together and create a proof of work, and no one person would be able to turn that around. No one would be able to rewrite the ledger, because if they did, they were to be able to rewrite the ledger, they'd have to have all the computing power of all the computers on the network to go back and rewrite the blockchain.
Well,
so that's what happens. The network determines how hard it would be, and the difficulty varies so that the entire network will create a new block every 10 minutes.
Okay. So, So this sounds pretty interesting. I'm going to have this on the show notes, the link, if anyone wants to go read this in detail. But so what's the basic thing we should be getting out of this?
The basic thing we should be getting out of this is that the understanding that it takes a lot of computers to do mining. The reason that the network is so valuable, the cryptocurrencies are valued at over $100 billion of cryptocurrencies, is because there is a proof that money is not double spent. We don't have to turn to a central authority. We don't have to turn to PayPal, Visa, the central banks to say, hey, did this guy spend over his account? Is he overdrawing? Is it an overdraft? Maybe we better freeze his account. None of that happens. We all check the ledger ourselves. Every single person on the network checks the ledger. And that is very valuable. But there's a cost involved, and the cost is proof of work. The machines have to do some mathematical equations to secure that. And it takes up electricity. You're paying in electricity, you're paying in time, you're paying in hardware for the miners. And people say, they say, well, mining is a waste of electricity. And, that's a fallacy, because if you think about anything that you buy, if you want to go and buy yourself a pint of ice cream, Gary, is that a waste of ice cream? If you want to keep the lights on in your house instead of turning them off at night, is that a waste of electricity? You bought that electricity. It's your determination how you spend your money. And miners are spending their money. They're choosing to buy that electricity. So it's a choice.
Okay. And then I'm going to bring up my tool of the week is not really, I don't know what this, I think this may be the biggest tool I've had.
This is a cool tool.
It's the Shift card.
Shift.
I don't know if you know, we've been sending people to Coinbase, because they do pay us an affiliate fee, which I don't have a problem with affiliate fees. So talking on the earlier subject, sponsors, I don't really consider that a sponsor. I don't know. We'll have to decide that. But if you go to cryptocousins.com/Coinbase, if you sign up for Coinbase, and that's a place to buy your crypto, to buy your Bitcoin, it's a great place for beginners to start because it's easy to use. They'll give you $10 worth of free crypto and us $10 worth of free crypto if you use that link. And our short link is cryptocousins.com/Coinbase. But what they have that's neat, or I think is neat, is they have a Visa card. Now, we talked about this earlier. There was another one, and I started to sign up with it, and I didn't. But this one is hooked to your Coinbase account, which most everybody starts at Coinbase. If you go to cryptocousins.com/shift, that's our short link for that, cryptocousins.com/shift. And that'll take you to where you can apply for your Shift Visa card. And what's cool about this, Tony, is you just put Bitcoin on it, and you can go anywhere you want and spend it. It's a Visa card. So I can walk into 7-Eleven, I can buy a cup of coffee. They don't know anything except it's a Visa card.
So that really solves the problem that people say, hey, how do you spend your Bitcoin?
I hear this all the time. Someone called me yesterday on the phone from up north that I hadn't talked to in forever. Goes, I want to know where you spend this stuff at. Like, that's a big deal. And so now you can spend it anywhere. I mean, literally anywhere it takes Visa, you can spend it. And he had an issue with, well, how about they don't take Bitcoin? And people need to get over that, because it's like when I was in Italy 2 weeks ago. I walked in with an American credit card and I bought a hat, It's not like that dealer the next day, that store looked in their checking account and they go, oh my gosh, I got 1,000 euros in here and 12 American dollars. What do I do with these American dollars? That's not how it works. It's automatically converted to euros. So he didn't know if my credit card was American credit card or a European credit card, nor did he care. And that's the way this card is. That's the way the Shift card is. It doesn't matter. You're going to get dollars if you accept the purchase with the Shift card. So I think this is kind of cool. You have to have a Coinbase account to use it, though, Tony. So
it's pretty cool. Well, yeah, I've got one, so I'm going to look into this.
I've already ordered mine. It costs $10, I guess, application fee, mailing fee, whatever you want to call it. They charge $10 to get one. And so I've already ordered mine. I should have it in about a week. Hopefully I'll have it by the next show, and we can talk about how it goes in. But to me, this answers the number one question I hear from everybody. Where do you spend this Bitcoin at?
Where do you spend your Bitcoin?
That's the biggest question I get asked all the time. Where can I spend it? Okay, let's say I do really great with Bitcoin. What can I do with it besides look at it? Well, this has got to be the best thing I've seen yet. So, and you know, Tony, this is the second one I brought up. So if there's two, before you know it, there's going to be four.
That's for sure.
And there's going to be 8. And then it's going to be a regular deal. So this is an example of Bitcoin moving into the real world, of our economy.
Well, I think this is a great idea for us to be sure that we let people know. And we have it listed on the website. What is it? cryptocousins.com/shift.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah. So, and in case you haven't got it down yet, every link we give out is going to be cryptocousins.com/something. So you only have to remember when you're listening to our show the last word, because the rest of it's going to be cryptocousins.com/. So, whether it's Facebook group /Facebook group, or whether it's /Twitter, whether it's /Coinbase or Shift, whatever. Hey, and guess what, Tony? We got a really good message, a message this week. Question. This question is, I'm going to let you answer this question, Tony. And this question is from my niece, my real life niece.
Oh, cool.
So she's been listening to this show. I didn't know it. She's getting ready to buy $100 worth of Bitcoin. And she's a nurse in Amarillo. And here's her message, Tony. Hello, Uncle Gary. Hello, Amy. Uncle Gary, our crypto cousin. I think I have an account all set up at Coinbase. Good place to start. I plan on starting really small with only a $100 investment. That's good. She'll get $10. We'll get $10. Win-win deal there. But since I'd only be able to do such a small amount in the beginning, okay, so since she's only buying $100, she's asking, would you recommend keeping a paper key? I have listened to all of your podcasts, and kudos. Y'all sound great and are sharing very useful information. So her question is, which is understandable, she don't want to spend a lot of money on a wallet. Like I think my Treasure costs $89. I don't know what yours costs.
Yeah, just about that.
So she don't want to spend as much as she's buying in Bitcoin on her wallet. So she's considering a paper wallet. So what are your thoughts on that, Tony?
Given that it's $100, and I really do trust the folks at Coinbase, for that amount of money, it's really fine to keep it in Coinbase. But if she wanted to put it on her phone, she could use a phone app. And there are many, many choices. We've used Copay to do our shared. We have a shared wallet on Copay. We like that one a lot. If she wants to put it on her desktop, if she has a Mac or a PC, I've used Exodus Wallet, and it's got a great user interface, and you can see your portfolio, and looks really good. So there are many choices. I like Copay. I like Exodus Wallet. I think we also use Jack's Wallet on the phone and on the laptop to manage our Zcash accounts.
Yeah, I use Jack's. I like Jack's. It's easy to use.
It's pretty easy to use. So there are, given that level of investment, any of those are good choices. She can print it out and, make a paper wallet and use it as cold storage. That's certainly a possibility as well.
I ran when I was in Austin 2 weeks ago. I ran into this guy that made these paper wallets that were like works of art. They were like really, actually,
cool.
you could hang them on your wall. And then
Wow.
in the corner was the QR code, and it was a wallet. I mean, I thought it was so cool. And he sells out all the time, and these only makes limited edition. But getting back to Amy, so Amy, you feel could be just as safe probably on a paper wallet or on one of the other online wallets that don't have a fee.
Yeah, phone wallet or a wallet like Exodus.
Okay. And thanks, Amy, for calling in, and I hope everything's going well for you up there in Amarillo. And also this week, and this is what I've really been asking for, Tony, we have someone called our voice line, our phone message line, and left us a message to answer.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, this is our first one. And the number for that, if anyone wants to call us, is 747-777-9471. I'll say it again, 747-777-9471. And you can rewind this. Why do I say rewind? It's not like this is tape. You can
It's kind of rewinding. It's digital rewinding. I like it.
Okay, we'll stick with rewind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can just rewind and listen to Gary say 747-777-9471.
Exactly. If you want to leave a message and get involved, that's where to go. Let's play this week's question, Tony.
Hello, Crypto Cousins. Thank you for what you're doing. I enjoyed the show with Trace Mayer. I'm wondering about mining. Specifically, how do you feel about the energy usage? I read one article that said the average Bitcoin transaction uses about that of an American household in electricity in 1 week. Do you think the fact that all of this energy is being consumed is grounds for a change in the proof of work algorithm? All right. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work, gentlemen.
Okay, Tony, he is under the thought that someone mining Bitcoin would be using as much electricity as an American household uses in a week. And that'd be a lot of electricity compared to most of the world because we are piglets here in the U.S. So is that, I don't think my mining machine, which is hashing 1,000 solutions a second, hey, I know that stuff right now, which is a lot, you said. I don't think it's using as much electricity as a house would in a week.
You know, this is a really timely question because one of our colleagues in the space, Mark Risen Hopkins, recently wrote an article about this.
Cousin Risen
wrote an article. There was an article in, I think it was Motherboard magazine, laying out how they calculated all these numbers, and they said, well, we don't really know how much electricity they're using, so we're just going to estimate the most. And so, they exaggerated is the word, maybe by like 10x. I mean, or more. So Mark went out and he commissioned a study and looking at all crunching the numbers, and he determined it was a lot less. So that's the first answer. It's not as much as people are saying it is. And the second answer, we kind of touched on it earlier today, is that there's really no such thing as waste. Waste is, when you throw a lot of stuff in the trash. When you throw out an empty carton, you buy something that's 1 inch long and there's a 10 inch container, and you throw that in the trash and someone has to deal with that waste. But when you buy electricity, it doesn't go to waste because you use it. So do you want people coming to your house? Do you want the government or maybe some activists coming to your house and say, Gary, we don't like you leaving your lights on. We know you have your lights on and no one's there. So you're wasting electricity. Everybody pays money for their electricity. They pay for the service. So in that regard, it's not a waste.
Well, I agree completely. It's my money. I spend it how I want to, but I wouldn't leave my lights on while I was. Well, I take that back. When we went out of town for a week, we did leave a light on in the house for a week when no one home.
For security.
Yeah, so it looked like someone was home.
Mm-hmm. That's your choice.
Yeah, so I did leave that on, and I would have felt uncomfortable with my house completely dark for the week. But like I said, we are piglets here in the U.S. compared to the rest of the world, and we use a lot of electricity because we are just little piglets. That's what I'm going to call it, piglets here. Okay, thanks for sending in that question. That's exciting getting our first audio question. We want more of those. We want more people sending in questions. Send in your questions to us, and we'll try to get them on every show, and maybe that'll have to become a segment. Maybe we'll get so many we have to do an Answer the Question show, Tony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that.
Well, let's get to our topic of the day, which is what is mining, Tony? Unless you have anything else you want to put in first.
No, I'm excited to talk about mining.
Yeah, and I want to do kind of a counterpoint on this before it's over, because I have some questions about this too from the other point of it. So, first of all, let's start with, for anyone who may not know, because we have a lot of beginners here, what actually is mining? It's not getting a shovel and a pick and going out on a mountain.
So, from the early days, mining could take place on anyone's computers. Satoshi Nakamoto and other people in the early internet days, or the early crypto days, would turn their computer on, they download the blockchain, and they would every 10 minutes create a new block, and they get paid 50 Bitcoin for that. And
wow, that would be nice.
That's really nice. That's what it was in the early days. Every 4 years or so, the reward reduces by half. So mining is the network going out, checking every transaction on the Bitcoin network, putting it in the blockchain in a way that it does the transactions are checked and confirmed. And there's a cryptographic hash that takes place. On Bitcoin, it's SHA-256.
Which I'm doing 1,000 of those hashes a second.
You're doing 1,000 Equihash solutions a second. It is quite fast for that algorithm. You're doing well. But what happened on the Bitcoin network, as more and more miners joined, they were able to solve the problem faster, less than 10 minutes. So Bitcoin's algorithm had to make the algorithm harder so that the problem could be solved within 10 minutes, not in 8 minutes or 6 minutes. So it got harder and harder and harder to do the cryptographic hash. Basically, what miners are doing is they're taking all the transactions from the previous 10 minutes. They're doing a cryptographic signature on it. They're creating a hash of those, and then the algorithm says, you know what? You have to add a couple random numbers in it and create this package of all the transactions and some random numbers, and your hash has to be less than, say, I don't know, 60 million. It has to have a lot of zeros in front of it. And if the number were from 1 to a billion, maybe the hash would have to be less than a million. So there's a lot of zeros in the front. And the algorithm says if your hash is wrong, it doesn't have a lot of zeros in front of it, then try to put in another random number and hash again. And that's exactly what all these computers are doing. They're putting in random numbers and they're checking another hash, another hash, another hash. And it's really difficult. It's really, really difficult to get a hash that solves that the parameters. So thousands and thousands of miners are out there guessing. And within the 10 minutes, by chance, roughly one of them will get a proper guess. That person gets the reward. The reward being currently 12.5 Bitcoins.
So what they're really, I guess that's what they're getting and everything. But actually, all these miners are really just basically computers that are helping to keep the ledger for Bitcoin.
Exactly.
And I mean, because basically money, whether it's cash money or Bitcoin or whatever, is really just a ledger system. It's a way of keeping who owns what and who bought what and who has the money. And so these computers are taking the place of holding the physical currency and saying, yes, this money was spent and was sent from Tony to Gary, and that Gary now owns it, but Tony no longer owns it. And then I see all the time where I need 6 confirmations when I transfer Bitcoin. So does that mean that 6 mining machines have to all agree and confirm that money was sent from Tony to Gary before it's 100% official and then the next block pops up?
That's a good rough estimate. For small amounts of money, you don't really have to confirm at all. You can decide, you know what, I don't really need a confirmation. I'm buying a cup of coffee. It's going to be fine. So like if you're
So
a
what
merchant,
happens? How
you
do
don't have to
they know
wait.
who owns that money if it's not confirmed? If I've spent $1,
They're trusting that, you've by the time you finish your coffee, you're walking down the street, then it will be confirmed.
okay. So it's still going to get confirmed. It's just not going to be confirmed while you're in the coffee shop.
Exactly.
So for $1, they're going. It's kind of like when I go up to McDonald's now. Well, I don't go to McDonald's, but the last time I went to a fast food place, I gave them my credit card. I had no cash, and they handed me back my receipt and my credit card and didn't make me sign. They trusted me for it. It was a small transaction.
Exactly.
Where if I'd been buying $1,000, they might have made me sign.
Yeah, generally over like $50, depending on the store, then they'll make you sign. And so it's that way with Bitcoin. You wait 6 confirmations, then with pretty much certainty, a high degree of certainty that the transaction went through.
When I see on when I'm mining, or not when I'm mining, when I'm moving Bitcoin, I see if you're using, excuse me, if you click on the processing, it says processing or whatever when you first do it. I'm probably using the wrong word, but if you click on that, it takes you to a site. And on the right-hand side, it shows you 0 of 6 confirmations, and it'll be 1 of 6. And on the left, it says like probability or something, and it has like maybe 85% or 90%. What does that mean on the left-hand side?
Yeah, it's exactly what we've been talking about. What is the probability that this transaction is going to go through?
Does that ever go like to 5 or 10%?
I'm not certain. I've only seen it go up.
I've never seen it basically anything but over 85%.
Yeah. So as soon as the first transaction goes through, there's a strong possibility that it's going to work out. That's another reason to run your own, node. Your own full node. We talked about maybe doing a show on that in the future. Running your own full node means you have the entire blockchain on your desktop computer. And when you go to check and confirm, you have an answer right away. You're not trusting that some of these other nodes are going to give you a certain answer. And in the Bitcoin world, there really is no trust. It's a trustless system. You're just trusting that the software is working and that all of the nodes are abiding by the same rules.
And a node is not a mining machine, but what is a node for those who may not know?
A node is a
what is the basics of it?
It's the basics of it's running the Bitcoin Core latest release of the software that has all the rules that says, this is the blockchain and this is what the next blockchain is going to be. And in 10 minutes from now, roughly, there'll be another block added. And it has the entire blockchain on it, all of the previous transactions.
Well, we need to set us up a node and
we
then
really
do a show on it.
Then we can talk about it. Exactly.
Yeah, once we talk about it. So let me ask you, here's my question about mining. Okay, I got a machine over here mining, Tony, and this is going to be the counterpoint. I got a machine over here mining, and this machine roughly sells we sell this at cryptocousins.com in our store. Actually using our products we sells for $2,400. And I'm getting roughly $120 a month in Zcash. Wouldn't you say that's about right?
That's a great estimate. That's pretty much your machine is very stable. It pretty much runs all the time. It doesn't go down.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I had to restart the internet yesterday, and that's the first time it's had gone down since I've done it. But anyway, I'm making $120 a month off this machine. So basically, in 10 months, I made $1,200. So in 20 more months, I've broken even on this machine. So in 20 months, I've made $2,400, which is under 2 years. I've made enough money to pay for my machine, and now I'm making $120 a month of income with no new costs involved. Is that a pretty good summary on that?
That's one way to look at it, and that's exactly correct.
Well, that's exactly how we're looking at it for this conversation. And you can bring how you look at it into the conversation. Now, here's my deal. Okay, it took me 10 months to or 20 months to break even, but I'm making money for a long while with no cost after that. But if 45 days ago, I'd have put that same 2,400 in Bitcoin. Last week, I could have sold my Bitcoin for $7,800 because it was $3,600 45 days ago. I would have doubled my money in 45 days versus breaking even in 20 months. You see what I'm getting at here?
Exactly.
Now, my wife and I both are on the side going, wow, it seems like it would be better to me just to buy Bitcoin and double my money right away. But I know you don't feel that way. You feel I'm better off to mine Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, we're mining Zcash. I say Bitcoin, we're mining Zcash and then converting it into Bitcoin. Then we're trading Zcash for Bitcoin. You think I'm better off to mine a product, a coin, and break even in 20 months. Okay, that's my whole statement there, and I'm going to let you. I hope everybody understands what I'm saying there because I'm not real good at explaining stuff sometimes, but I hope everybody understands what I'm saying. I'm going to let you respond to that, and that's my point. It's time we could have a segment, point counterpoint.
Point counterpoint, exactly.
Where did we copy that from?
I think we're copying that from somewhere.
But what is your point your counterpoint to my point, Tony?
Well, so that was one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is you buy the machine and you're making crypto. So the $100 that you're making in that month immediately can get converted into any other crypto in an easy, fast way using Shapeshift or Changelly, or there are several other now online places where you can just convert your crypto from one coin to another. So that crypto is in the first month $120. Say you put it in Bitcoin. So now you have a steady stream of buying Bitcoin. And as Mark Hopkins talked about with a long time ago in one of his blog posts, actually it was a video interview, and he said that, dollar cost averaging, if you don't have a large lump sum up front to buy crypto, then just ask yourself, well, what can I buy? And put that money in regularly. So we don't know, as we see Bitcoin's up, Bitcoin's down. It is something that can't be predicted. We don't know the future, so we don't know the real answers to this question. We're only hedging bets. And so at the end of the month, then you'll have $120 worth of crypto, which a month later, as you said, now would have been $240 worth of crypto. So your machine is generating money that is also doubling or growing in value. The other point is that people get very nervous about holding a lot of crypto. And so as you saw this weekend when it all dropped.
Oh, I was nervous. I contacted you. I contacted Cousin Risen. My wife was really panicking. And both of y'all said the same exact thing basically in response.
Yeah, we've been there before and we'll be there again. And yeah, exactly. That's the value of those 21 million. Well, right now it's 16 to 18 million Bitcoins is only going to go up because it's a rare commodity. It's a very rare. And there are only 11 million millionaires in the United States. That's not enough Bitcoin for each of them to hold 2 Bitcoin. If they decided to wake up tomorrow morning and say, oh my God, I'm a millionaire, I better buy 2 Bitcoin, they couldn't. So the answer to the question is, it depends on how you look at it. And another viewpoint is that all of your money already should be in crypto. I mean, some people have all of their assets in crypto. That's a very extreme point of view. So really, everything is in crypto. Nothing is left in a fiat currency. And so you'd be taking some fiat currency, some Bitcoin, and using it to buy a miner. The other viewpoint is that you can take a miner and put it on a credit card. And so really, for the first month, 30 days or so, you have a grace period. That very first month, you didn't spend any money. No money came out of your account, and your miner made you $120 of crypto. and then you can put off that payment. You can pay, maybe, I don't know how your credit card works, but whatever the fees are, you can borrow that money. And so you're paying out the miner over time, and your crypto's coming in regularly. There are times when Bitcoin is very stable, and then it jumps up in a dramatic fashion. So over that time period, Bitcoin could stay the same. Bitcoin could go down. Before the end of the year, we may see another, crash, so to speak, and another buying opportunity. And so, we don't really ever know if we're buying on the dip. We know what a dip looks like, but we don't know when. Timing the market is challenging. And so this enables you to create an engine that will create the Bitcoin for you, and working 24/7, depending on your electric rates, your profit varies.
Oh yeah, I didn't even put that electricity into my calculation of 2 years.
Yeah. So there's some electricity, generally a percentage, roughly. Depends on the miner. Our miners are very efficient, so they're running at roughly. It's roughly like 10-15% of the total cost going to electricity, and so that's the viewpoint there. You are buying something that will continue to make crypto for you. And at the end of the 24 months, when you've made all your crypto back, you still have an asset. And that asset is a computer worth roughly $2,400. All of the parts inside still practically brand new. There's, if you keep it in the pretty dust-free zone, you could turn around and sell it for practically the same money. You could take it apart and sell the parts for almost the same money. We're using off-the-shelf parts that are, this is not a miner in a shoebox. It's a very well-crafted miner using regular computer case, regular motherboard, and very high-quality parts inside. So
it has six. Mine has 6 graphic cards in it.
6 graphic cards. And what's interesting, we've been buying graphics cards for the last 4 or 5 months now, and they're not getting cheaper. They're getting more expensive. So cards that we bought a couple months ago for $129 now are $169.
I had a kid who works with me. He was complaining the other day about us. He said, all you miners are causing my cards to get expensive.
Exactly. So the cards will retain their value as well. So
you're saying you still have the $2,500. You still have that in equipment when the 2 years is over. So you got to take that into your account.
Exactly.
For your financial. You can't go, I made $2,500 in a, because I'm going, you made 20, I'm going to say 25. You made $2,500 in 2 years. We're going to use 2 years instead of 20 months. And you broke even. So you got $2,500 for the crypto now, but you still have the $2,500 machine.
Exactly.
And the crypto's gone up.
And
so there's the same gamble you're taking on buying the Bitcoin.
Exactly. Well, and some miners, they'll mine Zcash. They'll mine another coin. For instance, this weekend here, this is something I talked to you about a couple of weeks ago. And I didn't really see it on the horizon, but it came up really fast. Bitcoin Gold. Bitcoin Gold uses not the SHA-256 algorithm, which is very hard to use on a regular computer. It's impossible on a regular computer to mine effectively. It uses the same algorithm that Zcash uses, the Equihash algorithm, which is suited for graphics processors. It's suited for the GPU.
So I could be mining Bitcoin Gold now if I want.
You could be mining Bitcoin Gold. You just move your couple settings. You move your settings over to the Bitcoin Gold mining pool, and you'll be mining Bitcoin Gold, which right now is roughly $260 or so per Bitcoin. And you can basically speculate. You have the opportunity now to take the Bitcoin and the crypto that you make and try some of these new coins that launch. We know some people. I met some people this weekend in the user group that I went to. They started with some of these coins that were just no-name coins, a couple penny coins, and they end up turning into a couple dollar coins and making a lot of money.
Hey, speaking of meetup groups, this is off the mining subject, but if you're in Dallas-Fort Worth, also check out bitcoinfortworth.com. That's a new meetup group I started in Fort Worth. Just wanted to throw that in there. So getting back to the credit card, though, Tony, that you mentioned, are you saying that if your credit card rate is okay, that you're paying off your computer, you're financing your computer on your credit card and paying off the finance rate with the coins that you're mining, so you're not out of pocket?
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Look, you can get a new credit card these days, and at a low rate. People do that all the time, and it's easier to buy a miner on a credit card than it is to take a new credit card and go into Coinbase and try to buy $2,400 worth of Bitcoin. When you started your Coinbase account, there's some limits. You can buy only a little bit at a time.
Right. And you can only sell a little bit at a time on there.
Exactly.
I mean, you can't buy $100,000 worth and then go say, oh my gosh, this stuff's falling through the roof. I want to sell $100,000 worth on Coinbase. You aren't going to be able to do it.
No.
I mean, they've got some limits on there.
They've got a lot of limits.
Mm-hmm. So using that, you're saying someone basically can buy, according to their limits, a couple machines, set them up, have them mining, actually not be out of pocket, and then in 24 months, they could have a profitable income coming in that they never really put anything out of pocket on.
Exactly. And people are doing it.
That's an interesting concept. So you could be financing your retirement off of what you mine. I don't know if you'd be able to. I guess if you had a lot of credit cards, you could. I mean, or if you had big enough limits, you could get yourself 20, 30 machines. And what you're bringing in might be able to pay off those 20 or 30 machines. And if you had 30 as an example, you're making $3,000 a month just for some machines sitting there.
Exactly. And you have the opportunity to mine new coins that come up under the Equihash algorithm or some of the other algorithms that are favorable to GPUs.
That may be coming out cheap, like you were saying. You met people talking about at the meetup group. And maybe they come out at small dollar amounts, but when they're small dollar amounts, they're probably easier to mine, and you get more of them. Kind of
exactly.
like Bitcoin was when it dropped, several every time you mined it in the old days. And then all of a sudden, that stuff goes from being worth a dime to $1, and you've paid off your machine a lot faster.
And there are spikes now. So you're experiencing a regular rate, but occasionally there are spikes in the algorithms. People who are mining on NiceHash, which is a different way to mine. We don't mine with NiceHash, but if you had a PC running Windows, you can mine on NiceHash, and it's an algorithm that it's a host system that chooses the algorithm and the coin that's the most profitable to you. So somebody decided they wanted to buy a lot of Bitcoin Gold and mine a lot of it on Sunday night when it launched. And so they went to NiceHash and they said, hey, I want to get a lot of miners working for me. And so NiceHash is like this marketplace. It's like an eBay of miner services. And so you're there mining your Bitcoin Gold on NiceHash. You're mining. You're just mining on NiceHash. You don't care what it's mining. You just tell NiceHash to just take your computer and use it as it will. And some people were making like $10 an hour. I mean, it was crazy. The rate jumped dramatically, jumped like 10 times for a couple hours. And some folks were talking about it on our Facebook group. And that happens now and then. So people decide they really need the hash power, and they're going to pay a lot for it. And so you might get some spikes, and you might make what you would think you would make in a month, and you make in a couple hours.
Wow. So one thing I do have to say about the mining machine that are the ones we sell these ways is I took mine out the box, I plugged it in, turned it on, and it was mining. I didn't have to do jack. I mean, it was mining, putting the money in my account. I mean, there was nothing to it. I mean, it was all set up. I mean, the way you do that, Tony, for people that are interested in mining is fantastic. I mean, they don't have to know anything except how to plug in a machine and how to hook up the cable to the internet, the line to the internet.
Yeah, there are only two plugs. You plug one plug into power and the other plug into your router. So it has to be near your cable router or your Verizon router or whatever. It doesn't work over Wi-Fi. It needs to get plugged in. But there is a workaround around that as well. There are the Wi-Fi extenders. There are those little boxes you plug into your kitchen or your extra bedroom that needs Wi-Fi reach. And at the bottom of those extenders is a Ethernet jack, and you can plug into there, and it kind of fools our miner into thinking it's plugged in. Our miner likes to be plugged in. That's just the way it works. And then it's mining. Before we send it out, we have you set up a simple miner account, simplemining.net, and that enables you to monitor everything that's happening. You can see that your miner is working for you, whether it's online or not. If your internet connection goes, you'll see that your miner turns red, and the little bar turns red, and then says you're offline. And so
if anyone's interested in seeing those, like I said earlier, just go to the store at cryptocousins.com. And we're getting ready to add another one on there. Is that right, Tony?
Yeah,
another model.
We're moving into. I believe that there's two types of miners. Somebody who wants to make a big farm and put it in their garage and have the exhaust fans blowing it. It's a lot of noise and a lot of electricity, bringing in a lot of extra power supplies. But maybe the small miner, this is our market. I think the small miner just wants to get their feet wet, just wants to see what it's like, just to say, hey, I'm mining. Check it out. And so our miners are built on very small computers. Micro ATX board is our main miner, and that's a pretty small board. And the small computer, it was about 13 inches square.
Yeah, I mean it's like 8 feet from me now, and I can't hear it. So
it runs very quiet, And our new one is going to be even smaller. It's going to run on a micro ITX board. ITX boards are really tiny. They're like 7 inches by 7 inches as the motherboard goes. And we're going to squeeze 4 cards into that machine. And it'll run roughly, about 80% of the current ones. So instead of running 1,000, it'll run maybe 640 hashes. So about 65%.
Where the one I have, which is the model we have now, runs 6 cards.
6 cards and roughly 1,000 hashes per second.
Okay, so
solutions per second.
I think I have a grasp on mining. I know a lot more than I did. Now I'm kind of like thinking, well, maybe instead of buying more Bitcoin, maybe I need to buy another couple of machines for that money and put over there. Because like you said, as that goes up, you're making more money. And when the time period is up, the 20 months or the 2 years or whatever, it's still working. Exactly. It's still making you money.
And it's upgradable. Each of your cards, you could, that's the beauty of the GPU. And we'll be doing this next year. When new cards come out, NVIDIA is releasing new cards. We're big fans of NVIDIA. It turns out Bitcoin Gold and Zcash are better mined on the NVIDIA cards as opposed to the AMD cards. And these graphics cards cost between $120 and $1,000. There's a whole range. The smaller cards use less power. And so you could swap out your cards, take out your 6 video cards, sell them to a gamer. Poor gamers, they're really needing cards. You could sell them at really street prices or close to list prices these days, maybe even more. And load up with the 2018 cards. NVIDIA is coming out with faster cards using less power. That's just how Moore's Law works. So in keeping up with that, you'll be able to stay on the cutting edge. Okay,
well, thanks for explaining that to me. And that's our issue of point counterpoint. Well, thanks, Stone. I think that was a pretty good description. Some people don't even know what mining is, and my concern was what is the way to go and whether I should mine or buy. So now I'll have to have my wife listen to this so that she doesn't give me a bunch of baloney when I buy some miners ever doing that. Gosh, I know that we've gone over our time period today.
We always do.
We've never hit a half an hour. I mean, that was our goal, and we've never hit it. We may want to start trying to stick to 50 minutes. We may need to come up with a new goal because we've never reached it yet. But as we start getting more questions, Tony, from people, we're probably going to be longer. I mean,
we may be longer. Well, I listen to podcasts at the faster speed. I don't know if you do. What is, your podcast player does 1.5 and then 2x.
Yeah, I listen to 3x.
You listen to 3x? Oh my goodness! I didn't know I could do 3x.
I didn't.
I actually listen to us at 2X, so we sound pretty good.
Yeah, I listen at 1X. I just like.
Do you?
Yeah,
Oh.
I did for a while. Listen at 1.5.
Yeah.
And I just said, yeah, I'm not in that big a hurry. I'm just going to listen at regular speed.
I'm in a huge hurry. I listen to everything. I watch all YouTube videos at 2X.
Do you really?
I do. Oh yeah. I mean, I don't have time to listen to watch a 30-minute YouTube video when I could watch it in 15.
Yeah, I do a lot of things fast, but absorbing content is not one of them. I go slow because I think my frame of mind, I kind of like get off on something for a second, and my mind drifts for a second. If I did, heck, I'd lose twice as much content, So I have to go slow. So if I drift, I can come back into the thing. Well, I think we really probably need to wrap this up. Anything else you want to tell everybody before we get out of here, Tony?
Well, go to the iTunes store and give us a 5-star rating if you like us. If you don't like us, well, then don't bother.
Yeah, they don't even go there at all if you're going to give us a 1. We don't even want you to go in there.
Don't bother. It's a lot of work.
And that's
but if you love us,
cryptocousins.com/iTunes.
/iTunes, exactly. And don't we have a little guide? If you don't know how to do the stars, we have a guide on our website now.
Yeah. Tell them about that. You just did that. That was really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool because that's what we do. We build websites. Our website's really amazing. Gary's been building websites since 1995 or
96.
96. And I've been known to dabble in building websites. And
you built a lot. That's pretty modest.
So we have a page called Rate Us, and the Rate Us page goes through screen by screen what it's like to rate on the iTunes store. And if you're looking at it on a desktop, then it gives you the instructions for a desktop. And if you're looking at it on an iPhone, automatically it changes the instructions to what it should look like.
I didn't know that. So whatever device you're looking at it with, that's the instructions that shows you.
Exactly.
Because I looked in the back end the other day and I said, he's added the iPhone, but he hasn't published it yet, I guess, because it wasn't showing up. But I was on a laptop, so I just saw the laptop version. So, to go to cryptocousins.com, up at the top right, there's a button that says, what does that say? Rate us?
Rate us. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, I didn't know that. That's cool. So it walks you through step by step how to give us a 5-star review. It doesn't show you how to give a 1-star, just a 5-star.
Fantastic. So that's it for this show. Yeah. That's the most important thing. We'll leave you with the last.
You did a good job on that, Tony. That was real good. Well,
thank you, Gary.
I'm going to say adios to everybody. Thanks for listening. And next week, we're having an interview with cousin Mark Hopkins, cousin Risen, as we call him. Tony gave talked about him today with his article about electricity usage. So that's our interview for next week. It'll be our second interview we brought on here. Actually, Mark was supposed to be our first interview, right, Tony? And then
yes.
The Segway 2X we thought was important, and we had the opportunity to trace, so we cut him and made him number 1. So
we were very, very fortunate that we ran that show.
Saved a lot of people from having to worry about the Segway 2X, right? With them cats on it.
Segway 2X went away.
Yeah. So, hey, everybody, thanks for listening. This is Gary saying goodbye.
So long, folks.
Thanks for listening to the Crypto Cousins podcast. Please share this podcast with anyone you know that is interested in cryptocurrency. Your friends can subscribe on iTunes at cryptocousins.com/iTunes and on Android at cryptocousins.com/play. If you want to know more about Tony or Gary, just go to tonysakala.com or garyleland.com. Make sure and join us on the next episode, and thanks for listening. The Crypto Cousins podcast and information in the podcast are not intended as investment advice. Cryptocurrencies are risky. Never invest more than you can afford to lose. Always seek professional advice before making any investment. Investing in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies may present tremendous risks. Please understand that you are using any and all information available on or through the Crypto Cousins podcast at your own risk.